Hi, Dr. Shane here. Hey, I wanted to kind of talk about a tenet that many of us refer to probably ad nauseum. And it's a tenet that in order to improve our microbiome, we have to do a number of things. One is eat really healthy diets. Secondly, it's to get out into nature. And then finally, it's to avoid things that we know damage our microbiome. Now, there's these little creatures, however, that are probably not well understood. Now, we know for a fact they're not well understood. They're really coming into their own, and we call these creatures phages. And these phages they play a unique role in the ecosystem of not only our gut, but in all animals. In fact, more importantly, in all ecosystems. So here in the ocean is one of the massive reservoirs of phages. So when we say we want to get improved what we call microbiome status, or improved eubiosis, which is the opposite of dysbiosis, where we have a lot of diversity, we have a lot of organisms that'll do the job in our gut, on our skin, in our kidney, in our lungs, etc. One way in which that is accomplished naturally is through having a diverse set of phages, because phages are essentially they are the part of the ecosystem that keep the bacteria in check. So if bacteria are allowed to grow out of control, for example, in the gut, we see things like IBS, IBD, SIBO, and the list goes on. It's a real challenge for us when organisms are not doing their job and they're overgrowing. And microbes grow really quickly. So one of the brilliant answers to that nature has provided is something called phages. And what they do is they are what are called viruses that only manage bacterial populations. So they manage the ecology of bacteria. And we literally have trillions of them in our body. And where do we get them? Well, one of the reasons that microbiologists and microbiome people say get out into nature is because they are everywhere. They are in lakes and rivers, and most importantly, they are in the ocean. So for example, I grabbed this much water out of the ocean. This little 100 mils of water contains around 1 trillion phage. So every time I get in the ocean, every time I'm having fun, goofing around, playing, and getting, water in my mouth or water in my skin, in my ears and nose, etc., I'm exposing myself to some amazing, amazing organism like phages. And so that's why we want to get out in nature. It isn't just the peacefulness of it, the breathing the clean air, and all of these other amazing aspects of getting into nature, but because there's invisible microbes, invisible creatures like phages everywhere in nature, that's one of the reasons why we promote that concept of getting into nature. And they help us do so many things. So again, phages help us manage our ecosystems. In the ocean in particular, they keep bacterial populations from overgrowing. In our gut, they keep bacterial populations from overgrowing. Now, the downside is we spend a lot of time avoiding what we call toxins and pathogens. And in doing so, whether it be through antibiotics or water filtration, air filtration, which is all very necessary, especially depending on where you live and what job you're trying to accomplish. But those same systems deplete our environment, especially if it's in our house or in our workplace. They deplete our environment of necessary organisms that allow us to thrive and adapt and to manage our own ecosystem. So I always encourage people to spend a little time in nature, clean nature, mind you. There are places, of course, I wouldn't recommend you go, indeed, but we know the difference. And getting into nature, we pick up phages through, again, water, lakes, streams, and even on hikes from soil. And getting our plants, our food from soil, from healthy soils, these phages are everywhere, and they certainly participate in our health. And the absence of them, like the absence of amazing microbes, they participate in disease and other risks. So as much as I'm a proponent of diet, probiotics, prebiotics, changing our lifestyles, getting into nature is a really serious, important part of that. And it's not just being present, it's really getting involved in it. So I can promise you that spending time in this water behind me is going to be healthy, not only from a psychological standpoint, but certainly from the physiology of what it offers. So that's my take-home message. Enjoy nature, immerse yourself in it, and it'll pay you back tenfold. Appreciate it. Thanks.